In this video, I'm going to explain a completely rational way of understanding tarot cards, a way of looking at them not as some mystical or magical force, but just as a tool you can use in your everyday life to make positive change. And as I'm talking, I'm just going to flip through my zombie tarot card deck. This is an unusual deck, obviously. It's also a very fun deck. It's a tarot deck that is really unusual, really fun, really different. It lets you do a completely different type of tarot card reading for maybe a very different type of person. The deck's available on Amazon.com, and I'm sure it's available elsewhere as well. So if you like the deck, go ahead and purchase it. And I'm just going to explain a rational and non-mystical way of understanding what tarot cards are really all about. Tarot cards have been used for hundreds of years, originally as a game and then as a tool for divination and mysticism. Nowadays, many skeptics scoff at tarot cards, but I wanted to provide a framework for skeptics, a way of looking at tarot that doesn't necessarily require any belief in a higher power or mysticism. Now, if you do believe in those things, that's totally cool. I'm not here to knock anybody's beliefs. But because I've gotten a lot of flack from more rationally minded friends, I figured it wouldn't hurt to explain my interest in tarot and why I enjoy studying this. Have you ever heard of the Rorschach test? Basically, what it is a piece of paper that's folded in half and then opened up, and some ink is splattered on one side of the paper. The paper is then folded in half, mushed together, and opened back up. Psychiatrists will get a hold of a huge stack of these, and they'll go to their client and ask, "What does this one look like? What does that one look like?" When the client goes through each one and explains what he sees, it allows the psychiatrist to come up with something of a profile about this person. If the client says about image after image that it reminds him of a gun, a bomb, some bullets, a knife, blood, etc., well, that says something about that person's personality, doesn't it? On the other hand, if he says they look like flowers, a smiling face, puppies, kittens, an ice cream cone, and so forth, that also says something about their personality, something very different. Like the Rorschach test, each tarot card is open to a wide variety of meanings and interpretations. You could hold up each card to a client and ask them, "What does this one look like to you?" And just like the Rorschach test, you would wind up with something of a psychological profile about this person based upon their interpretation of the picture on the card. The difference with tarot is that it's the reader, not the querent, who offers the meaning, and it is the querent's option to accept or reject that meaning. Now, I could discuss cold reading and how it's possible to use people's microgestures and body language and vocal tonality to hone in on an aspect of a reading and figure out which direction a reading should go. With cold reading, it's possible to provide a very powerful and accurate reading, whether you have psychic ability or not. So what's the point? What's the value in doing this? Well, forget tarot for just a second. Think about your normal life. Think about problems you have. The first step to solving a problem is thinking about it. And normally, when you think about a problem in your mind, you create scenarios, imagined events that may or may not take place in the future. That's how you decide which direction to go in your life, or how to handle problems. You imagine different outcomes, different obstacles that may stand in your way, and through this act of imagination, creativity, you find your way through the troubles. What a tarot reader does with a querent is to engage in a session of directed imagination. When you turn over the first card in a Celtic cross and say, "This card represents the heart of the matter, your present environment, that which covers you or a surrounding circumstance," whatever card you turn over will have meaning to the querent. That's because there's a lot of matters in a person's life. More things are going on in a person's life than there are cards in the tarot deck. So somewhere, especially given the different possible interpretations of the cards. The querent will be able to recognize something in their life to which they can tie this card's meaning. When the reader turns over the next card and says, "This card represents an opposing factor, a factor for change, or a magnifying force," now we're getting into some directed imagination. As human beings, normally, when we think of an event and the possible outcomes, it's based only on our own experiences and our own imagination. Suddenly, with tarot, what we're doing is allowing some element of chance, of randomness, some luck, or spirit guidance, whatever you wish to believe in, to influence the querent's mind. We're creating a new possibility. As we're going through the cards and we turn over one after another and explain that this represents this part of your situation and this other card represents this other portion of your situation, as we go through and build up the framework, what the querent is doing in their own mind is building up a variety of different factors, a variety of different influences around them in their life. And they're putting them together in a way that creates this puzzle, creates the situation, and offers a resolution. When we get to the end of the reading and we look at what the future holds, whether it's a warning or a positive outcome, it's up to the querent in their mind to figure out how to get there, how to achieve that, or how to avoid it if it's something bad. This is the challenge of each individual when we sit at home and think about a problem. All the tarot is doing is allowing the querent to look at a situation in a different way, using a different inspiration for coming up with ways of looking at or solving a problem. With the tarot, we place into the querent's mind a path or a way of looking at the problem. By doing this, we allow the querent to change their outlook on the situation. We open their mind to other alternatives, different resources that they are aware of, but maybe haven't considered using or looking at in light of their problem. In short, what we give to a querent as a tarot card reader is the ability for them to formulate in their own mind a new and powerful way of looking at their life's situations.